In the narrow, misty alleys of Amsterdam's underworld, the name Mohammed Razouki whispered like a secret prayer of fear. He wasn't the loudest, nor the most violent. He didn't need to be. His silence carried weight, a presence that made hardened gangsters pause before speaking. Long before he became one of the most wanted figures in the Macro Mafia, he was just a quiet boy who learned early that in the streets, silence was survival. Born into a community struggling between hope and hardship, Mohammed watched the streets raise men faster than schools did. His father worked long hours, his mother prayed longer. But the world outside their door, drugs, gangs, and the fast cars of street kings, pulled him closer than family ever could. By 15, he knew who controlled Amsterdam West. By 17, he had already done his first delivery, not of pizza, but of powder. Mohammed's first job was small, carrying a bag for a man called El Habib, one of the runners for Gwinnett Martha's network. He didn't ask what was inside, but the smell of money that followed him home was enough to drown any guilt. That one delivery opened a door he would never close again. It was through that world that Mohammed met Saeed Razouki. Older, sharper, and already connected to Ridwan Taghi. The two shared not just a last name, but an unspoken brotherhood. Saeed saw something in Mohammed, a quiet intelligence, a loyal heart, and a ruthless calmness. That friendship would one day make him powerful and hunted. By the early 2000s, Ridwan Taghi's network was expanding faster than the police could track. Mohammed became one of his most trusted lieutenants, handling logistics, money, and the movement of product across the Netherlands, Spain, and Dubai. He never left fingerprints. He spoke little. Yet every shipment that moved, every deal that closed, had his invisible touch behind it. The money was unbelievable. Cars, villas, and coded phones became his lifestyle. But behind the wealth came paranoia. Enemies grew, and the Macro Wars began. A chain of killings between rival Moroccan-Dutch gangs that turned Amsterdam into a battlefield. Mohammed, though rarely seen, was always suspected of pulling strings from the shadows. When Najib Boo was shot in Antwerp in 2012, it wasn't just another gang hit. It was personal. Najib had once been close to Gwinnett Martha, and his death ignited the fury that burned for years. Mohammed was rumored to have helped orchestrate the logistics behind the hit, arranging safe cars, burner phones, and routes. From that day, his name entered the war. Invisible, but permanent. Unlike many others, Mohammed didn't flaunt his life on Instagram or in flashy clubs. He moved like smoke, always one step ahead. The few who met him in person said he was calm, polite, almost soft-spoken. But when he gave an order, people obeyed, because disobedience meant disappearing. As Dutch police began breaking open local drug rings, many bosses fled. Mohammed followed Taghi's lead, setting up base in Dubai, a city where luxury hid danger well. From there, he managed his network through encrypted phones, coded messages, and loyal couriers who never knew too much. Loyalty in the underworld is fragile. When Gwinnett Martha was murdered in 2014, Mohammed reportedly wept. Not because they were close, but because the streets had lost balance. Each death pushed him deeper into silence, turning him from a businessman into a ghost general. The Dutch police had heard of him long before they saw him. Detectives like Eddie Voss and the National Crime Squad built files, photos, phone intercepts, maps. Still, they had no face to put to the name. Mohammed operated like a whisper in a crowded room. One of his biggest strengths was logistics. Mohammed controlled shipments through Antwerp, Europe's cocaine gateway, using fake shipping companies, bribed dock workers, and coded container numbers. He moved tons of product disguised as fruit, textiles, or machinery. In 2015, a secret meeting took place in Marbella. There, Mohammed reportedly met with Benouf A, Nofel, and 2 Spanish intermediaries. It was a fragile peace talk, a truce that never lasted. 3 months later, gunfire echoed in the streets again. Millions needed cleaning. Mohammed used shell companies in Curacao, Spain, and Turkey. Expensive watches, crypto transactions, and fake real estate investments became tools to turn blood money into clean assets. Every empire has a rat. One of Mohammed's drivers, under pressure from police, began talking. Phone intercepts, account numbers, and meeting spots were leaked. From that moment, Mohammed knew the net was closing. He moved constantly. Madrid today, Dubai tomorrow, Casablanca the next week. No hotel bookings in his name, no credit cards. He communicated only through encrypted apps that changed numbers weekly. His paranoia became his survival. In 2019, when Taghi was captured in Dubai, the empire trembled. The arrest sent shockwaves through the underworld. Mohammed vanished completely. No trace, no calls, no signal. Rumors said he escaped to Latin America. Others said he changed his face. No one could confirm. Even in absence, his influence lingered. Hits continued, rival dealers went missing, and coded messages still came from the old channel. To police, it meant one thing. Mohammed was still alive, still controlling something big. Some said Mohammed allied with Saeed Razouki, Taghi's brother, to rebuild what was left. Together, they reportedly managed routes through North Africa, avoiding Europe's watchful eyes. Others claimed the alliance was temporary, built on survival, not trust. In the midst of violence and secrecy, his family lived quietly in the Netherlands. They rarely spoke of him, fearing both police and rivals. For them, he was a son, a brother, not the ghost everyone else feared. Dutch and international police cooperated to find him. Interpol released photos, seized assets, and tracked money flows. But Mohammed's genius was in staying invisible. No digital footprint, no traceable phone. Investigators later discovered multiple safe houses in Belgium, Spain, and even Poland. Each one was modest outside but fortified inside. Cameras, steel doors, escape tunnels. He lived like a man always expecting a raid. By 2020, the macro mafia was eating itself alive. Old alliances broke. New betrayals erupted. Mohammed's name came up again, as the quiet hand funding certain factions while eliminating others. When Redouane B, the brother of Crown Witness Nabil B, was shot, many believed Mohammed's network approved it. The message was clear. Betrayal comes with blood. It wasn't proven. But in the streets, proof wasn't needed. Fear was enough. A chilling voice note once circulated among underworld contacts, calm, deep, and threatening. They said it was Mohammed's voice. He was warning someone who had spoken too much. The voice said only one thing: everyone who talks disappears. After that leaked voice note, Amsterdam's criminal circles grew silent. People who had once boasted of knowing him suddenly avoided mentioning his name. Even the younger gang members whispered, "He's still out there." Police informants refused to talk. The fear of an invisible hand was stronger than the promise of protection. Mohammed communicated only through codes, references to songs, football scores, and Bible verses that meant something else entirely. A 2-to-1 win could mean a shipment arrived safely. A penalty could mean someone was caught. He had mastered the art of speaking without words, confusing investigators who listened to thousands of intercepted calls but understood nothing. In early 2021, Spanish police raided a villa in Malaga. Inside, they found encrypted phones, cash in vacuum-sealed bags, and maps of Dutch ports. No Mohammed. Only a note on the fridge that read, "Too slow." It was a taunt, a ghost's laughter at those chasing him. One of his oldest associates, known as Omar L., was arrested. Police hoped he would talk, but when questioned about Mohammed, Omar simply said, "Some ghosts don't die. They just move faster than light." Even under interrogation, no one betrayed him. Millions of euros were traced through fake tech companies and cryptocurrency wallets. Some linked directly to known relatives of other gang leaders like Ben Ofe and Nafel. Every transaction revealed a network of loyalty so deep that even law enforcement couldn't tell where the money ended and fear began. In mid-2021, news spread that Mohamed Razouki had been killed in South America. Several media outlets reported it. Even police briefly believed it. But weeks later, encrypted messages resumed. Same phrasing, same tone. The ghost had returned, alive and watching. He came back quietly. Reports suggested sightings in Belgium and northern France. His goal wasn't to rebuild an empire. It was revenge. Too many people had talked, and Mohammed had never forgotten a single name. Police intelligence later uncovered a list. Handwritten, coded, but chilling. It contained 6 names. 3 were rival dealers. 2 were former allies. 1 was an informant under protection. Each name represented unfinished business. Weeks after the list was found, Karim T., a mid-level dealer known to have ties with the police, disappeared. His car was later found in flames on a deserted road near The Hague. No body, no clues. Only silence. The kind that spoke louder than words. Among the youth of Amsterdam West, Mohammed's name became legend. They called him the Ghost. A man who never got caught, never showed his face, yet controlled the chaos. To them, he was half myth, half warning. A reminder that power bought with blood never sleeps peacefully. Dutch intelligence traced new routes through North Africa, particularly in Morocco and Algeria. They suspected Mohammed had built a fresh network using relatives, smugglers, and corrupt port officials. From those routes, shipments of cocaine and hashish flowed back into Europe like veins feeding an unseen body. Back in the Netherlands, his relatives lived quietly, constantly shadowed by police. They said nothing, kept to themselves, and avoided reporters. Some believed they didn't even know where Mohammed was, only that speaking about him could cost lives. In 2022, a massive European police operation targeted remaining Makro Mafia figures. Dozens were arrested, Saeed Razouki among them. But once again, Mohammed escaped. It was as if he could sense raids hours before they happened. No one knew how he did it, but investigators suspected leaks from within. A young courier turned police informant was found dead in Antwerp execution style. He had been providing details about Mohammed's routes through the port. The message was unmistakable. Betrayal had no borders. With Taghi and Saeed behind bars, many thought the empire was finished. But Mohammed quietly began rebuilding. Smaller, smarter, more hidden. He didn't need to be seen. His presence could be felt in the pattern of arrests, in the routes that kept shifting, and in the silence after certain people vanished. Authorities began collaborating across continents. Dutch, Spanish, Moroccan, and even Brazilian police. They wanted one name, Mohamed Razouki. But every lead ended in a dead phone, an empty house, or a voice that said, "He was here yesterday." Without a clear leader, rival gangs fought for dominance. Some said Mohammed was manipulating the chaos from the background, letting others destroy each other while he quietly grew rich again. If true, it showed his genius. Rule without ruling. Dutch journalists who covered the Makro Mafia began receiving death threats. Some sources hinted that Mohammed's network wanted to silence those exposing their operations. Fear spread not only through the streets, but through the media. A chilling reminder of how deep his shadow reached. Investigators later discovered an encrypted messaging app called Sky ECC, used by many gangsters. Among thousands of decoded messages, several referenced a man called Ghost M. His words were short, calm, and decisive. Police analysts quietly concluded, "That's him." One rumor said Mohammed was spotted at a cafe in Casablanca, meeting with South American contacts. No photos, no confirmation, just whispers. But after that alleged meeting, A huge shipment of cocaine was seized in Rotterdam. Coincidence? No one believed so. Even from exile, Muhammad inspired fear. He didn't kill often, but when he did, it was surgical. People vanished, not tortured, not beaten. Simply gone, as if the earth swallowed them. That was his signature. One of his men tried to strike a deal with police, offering to testify. But before he could appear in court, he was shot outside a supermarket in Breda. It was another reminder. Muhammad's silence was louder than any confession. In Amsterdam's poor districts, young boys idolized him. They dreamed of fast cars, power, and fear. But they never understood the loneliness behind it. How every night, Muhammad slept with a gun and a phone, waiting for betrayal. His life became a mirror of the darkness he once tried to control. Interpol still lists him as wanted. Rumors place him in Turkey, others in South America. Every few months, new sightings surface, always unconfirmed. To the police, he's a fugitive. To the underworld, he's a ghost who never died. Today, Mohamed Razouki's story stands as both warning and legend. He began as a quiet boy in Amsterdam and became one of the most feared names in Europe's criminal history. He showed that power built on silence can last longer than bullets. But silence also means loneliness, a curse that follows him wherever he hides. Because even if he's still alive, he'll never be free again.